Welcome to Cherokee Station. The purpose of this presentation is to ensure all visitors, contractors, and non-plant staff personnel who visit Cherokee are aware of the hazards that exist at Cherokee and the safety programs that have been adopted to manage these hazards. The safety and security of all personnel on XCEL Energy's property is our primary goal. Cherokee Station has a 352 megawatt coal-fired boiler and a 585 megawatt natural gas-fired power plant, consisting of two GE 7FA05 gas turbines and a GE D11 steam turbine. Alcohol, drugs, and weapons are prohibited on XCEL Energy property. Only vehicles specifically authorized by Cherokee are allowed on site. These vehicles must be placarded with your company name and contact information. Do not park near transformers or electrical equipment. Do not block driveways or roadways. Do not tailgate. Park only in the designated contractor parking areas and do not ride in the back of a pickup at any time. The posted speed limit is 15 miles per hour on plant property. Smoking is allowed only in designated areas and is not allowed inside any buildings on site. Smoke in these designated areas only. When you enter the site through the north gate, you must sign the Visitors Registry log, located at Administration Building. This is a daily requirement. After signing in, contact your XCEL representative and proceed to your normal work area. In case of an emergency, contact the control room. Do not dial 911.
Cherokee 4 Controls, how may I help you?
Off-site emergency services must be directed through the control room.
Okay, we'll get help on the way.
If a plant evacuation is necessary, a horn will blast to warn you. Proceed immediately to one of the two assembly areas located by Unit 7 and Administration Building. Your XCEL contact will notify you when it is safe to return to your work location. Minimum PPE required at Cherokee is safety glasses with side shields, steel-toed safety shoes, hard hat, and gloves. Hearing protection is required in posted areas. You are responsible for any additional PPE to do your job safely. Eye-wash safety showers are placed at various locations around the plant. Be aware of these locations if you are working with hazardous materials. If eye-wash safety shower is needed, test them before using. Any chemical or hazardous material used or brought on site must have its safety data sheet, or SDS, and all containers must be clearly labeled with its contents. You are responsible for the materials and chemicals that you bring on site. Proper storage, handling, and disposal is required. Do not leave unused chemicals or materials on XCEL Energy property. Please keep your work area clean. Bulk chemicals are stored at Cherokee. All bulk containers are clearly marked and cited within containment areas. If you are working within the vicinity of these chemicals, your project manager can brief you on the specifics. If in doubt, ask. Contractors must comply with all applicable regulatory requirements, as well as company policies for waste handling, including, but not limited to, hazardous wastes, universal wastes, solid wastes, and special wastes. Contractor must coordinate closely with their plant project manager, as well as directly with the plant environmental representative. Contractor requirements include the following: identify and label waste containers, store waste in plant-approved areas, coordinate with plant for disposal of hazardous, universal, and/or special waste. Common waste streams include, but are not limited to, oily debris, including absorbent pads and rags, solvent paint waste, batteries, lead paint waste, including stripper, asbestos waste, including friable and non-friable, and used oil. We require all contractors to report spills immediately. Call in spills 24/7, 365. A spill is an unintended release of a chemical, hazardous or non-hazardous, or petroleum product. If possible and safe, stop the source of the spill and isolate spill material. Use the appropriate steps to report spills by calling into plant environmental analyst. Be prepared to give the following information: your name, your number, location on site where release occurred, what was the material released, how much was released, did released material get to any plant drains or leave plant boundaries, describe any and all actions you've done to clean up material. Please note that Cherokee uses reclaimed water. This water is non-potable and should not be consumed. Reclaimed or reuse water is used throughout the plant, so unless marked otherwise, assume a water source such as hoses, bibs, and hydrants are supplied with reuse water. If you are working on site after normal business hours, always contact the control room before starting your work. This is a daily requirement. Cherokee uses a stop work responsibility, which means that if an unsafe condition is observed on any job, work can be stopped by that person to prevent personal injury until the issue is resolved. Safety is our primary concern while working at Cherokee. If you are unsure about something, ask. Be attentive to all safety signs around the site. These are warnings to protect you. Red, danger, and yellow, caution, barrier tape is also used to warn you of hazardous areas. A tag is placed on the tape with the work being performed and with the person to contact if another worker should need to enter the barricaded area. Do not enter area until you have permission. If your activities create a hazardous area, you must put up signs or barricades and remove these barricades when work has been completed. If your job requires a clearance to de-energize equipment, you are required to follow the lockout-tagout procedure. Your project manager will go over the details with you before the job starts. Operating or removing any clearance point is strictly forbidden. It is the contractor representative's responsibility to maintain a daily roster of who is on the clearance. Performing work in a confined space requires full compliance with all safety rules and OSHA regulations. You have to be trained to work in these spaces. Air monitors may be required depending on the classification of the space. Fall protection also must be worn if you are working 4 feet or greater from the floor or within 6 feet of an unbarricaded opening or fall hazard. Fall protection must be worn when operating aerial lifts and man lifts. If your job requires a respirator, you must be fit tested and medically qualified to wear one. Documentation verifying qualification may be requested. Excavation on plant site must be approved before work begins. Any open hole greater than 4 feet must be barricaded and shored according to OSHA regulations. The plant must notify the appropriate agencies 2 working days in advance for excavation or trenching. Ask before you dig. All high-pressure bottles must be secured in a cart or restrained from falling over at all times. Welding or flame cutting work requires a hot work permit. Fire extinguishers and a fire watch need to be close by. Welding screens need to be used also. If possible, welding cables and extension cords should be routed as to not create a tripping hazard. Use signs to indicate the hazard if necessary. Please keep our grounds clean and dispose of all refuse properly. Remember, do not cause a safety hazard. Do not ignore a safety hazard. Report all injuries and use the proper PPE to do your job. If you have questions about any topic that was discussed in this video, please contact your supervisor. Please help us make Cherokee a safe place to work. Thank you for your attention.